And welcome back to the week of who would win. From Vision or Vision, we have the question of who wins in the fight: Superman versus one of his knockoff. I wouldn't call him knockoff, but one of the other comic industry variations on him, the Plutonian. I am not admittedly familiar with irregular or irredeemable comics, but the Plutonian is basically described as the main protagonist of the comic book Irredeemable and the overarching antagonist in the spin-off Incorruptible. Born from a probe created by a pair of godlike aliens known as the Elios, Plutonian arose to become a beloved superhero to feed his insatiable ego and desire for universal approval. After a series of events came about due to his numerous mishaps, the Plutonian went on a murderous rampage across the world, embracing his most callous traits and became a malevolent villain, a supervillain, spitefully condemning humanity for his ruining his reputation. Well, you seem like a swell guy. No, look, we don't need to go over Superman. We all know Superman. Superman is Superman. Kal-El of Krypton goes to Earth, raised by the Kents, power of a god, has been increasingly increased in power over the years to the point where he is usually a nightmare to talk about in verses, just because literally he's Superman. But the question, while this theoretically could go in a speed round, whenever we're talking about Superman versus one of his inspired, let's call him, one of the individuals inspired by him, I feel like those do deserve their own video, because there are Superman clones or Superman-esque characters, other companies' versions of him, who definitely approach him in strength. For example, Hyperion or the Sentry would be considered in a category of strength on par with Superman, to the point where they could give him a legitimate fight. They'd be legitimate problems to deal with. There's other characters, though, like Omni-Man and Homelander. They are the Supermans of their world. Granted, there are way more Viltrumans out there, but still, in terms of the Superman of their world, they are the Superman of their world, but they don't even come remotely close. Then you get someone like the Plutonian. Now, even though this image is the way that it looks, his hero image or hero visage, if you will, depicts him with a cape, and he does look very much like Superman. He has superhuman strength, where one of his best feats is lifting a very small black hole in the palm, and holding it carrying a small black hole in the palm of his hands. Although the radiation was basically lethal to him, and he was hardly able to do so. He has superhuman speed and reflexes, capable of speeds faster than light, near invulnerability, heat vision, arctic breath, enhanced senses, including eyesight, hearing, enhanced smell, x-ray vision. But what really stands out from him, and what we really need to talk about essentially in terms of verses, is what his actual power is. And it's low-level reality warping. As it's described, the Plutonian's true power is the ability to psionically bend the laws of the universe to his whims and essentially be as strong as he thinks he is. All the other powers are just offshoots of this central ability in some way. With this ability, he is capable of reversing entropy, altering probability, seeing through time, and much more impressive feats. For most of his life, he used this subconsciously. However, after evolving into a higher being due to being around his birth parents, he gained more insight into his reality warping and became capable of getting himself new powers just by focusing on them. Some of these powers he has given himself include, but are not limited to, intangibility, inertia negation, which is a fundamental force of the universe. He can temporarily halt moon's rotation just by touching it. Explosion manipulation. By using quantum entanglement, he can create atomic bomb-sized explosions just by snapping it. You can just do that and boom. Sorry, one second. There we go. Metal manipulation. Manipulate metallic matter. He can detect in large quantities the location of elements needed for nuclear purification, telekinetically attract them to itself, separate them from the rest of the soil, and eliminate the need for them to be mined by hand. Memory manipulation. He can make out the memories preserved in the brain's hippocampus. It's not as effective as outright mind reading or telepathy, as the memories are not in any real order. Some of them can be blurry or fast fading. He can also use his ability on people's corpses, presumably as long as the brain is intact. He is highly intelligent. He's also a master manipulator and a master of disguise. But, like every character, even some of the most powerful, he does have a set of weaknesses. and this is where the Superman comparison does kind of come from. He is apparently straight out weak to magic. Is a notable weakness, and let's try that sentence again. I just went all over the place. Magic is apparently a notable weakness to him. He has managed to be hard and almost killed Tony with magic on numerous occasions. Once made a magic candle that could temporarily move his powers, turning him into a normal human for as long as it burned. There was a candle wax bullet, magic candle wax bullet, fashioned to be able to kill him by a character called Betty Noir. Now, I say similar to Superman. Superman does not actually have a legitimate weakness to magic. He does not have a special resistance to magic. So magic affects him like it would anyone else. Now, granted, when you get as strong as Superman, even you can resist a lot of magic. But still, it's something that can legitimately give him a problem. And when you're Superman, I do believe that should qualify as a weakness. He's unaware of his true power for most of his life, but I don't think that's really... apparently he has been killed or stopped. He never apparently realized his true potential shortly before his demise, or he only ever realized it before his demise. He's not very experienced in flying. Apparently, teleportation. His near invulnerability can be bypassed by teleporting him away individual pieces of him. Essentially, spatial cutting. That's what it is. Materials cloned from his own skin. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of leans towards like a whole kryptonite thing. Wait. I'm reading these as we go along. The heat death of the universe. During his fight with the Helios, the godlike aliens teleported Tony to the very end of time, 10 to the 100th solar cycle into the future. Or 10 to the power of 100 solar cycles in the future. Due to entropy, all molecular activity had ceased, making it impossible for even a being like Tony to move. If Quibbit had not saved him afterwards, it's very likely Tony would have been trapped there for all of eternity. Cool, but I would imagine the heat death of the universe, unless you're a multiversal level being, is something that is a weakness to all beings. I don't know if that really qualifies as a weakness. Null field. What the hell is a null field? Max Damage once tried to defeat Tony by trapping them both in a null field, which nullifies all superpowers, in an attempt to beat the superhuman in a fair fight. While the field appeared to have been successful in removing his powers, Max Damage was still defeated by Plutonian's combat skills. Cosmic radiation. The thing that finally ended up being the cause of Plutonian's death was radiation emitted from the black hole he was forced to carry to suck up the radiation from the nuclear bombs all over Earth. Okay, so I think it's fair to say that on base level, the Plutonian just doesn't stack up to Superman. He is strong, and he is a being who could certainly fight Superman. Like, he's not weak by any stretch of the meaning, not even close to weak. The fact that he could even carry a small black hole, even if it was with a lot of effort, shows that he is certainly in a neighborhood of strength to Superman. Like, if Superman is the peak 100 of strength, who can go beyond 100 if he needs to because of all the way his Kryptonian physiology works, Plutonian probably is more clocking it like a 45 to 50. And I'm just using random numbers. I'm not saying he's half as strong as Superman. I'm just using relative numbers, which means that he is nowhere near Superman's level of strength. But he's certainly a level of strength that could definitely hurt. Like, Superman, if they punched each other in the face, both of these guys would feel it. That's basically it. He also has speed strong enough or fast enough to, go toe-to-toe with Superman to a certain degree. They both have the standard array of powers. But in a straight-up physical clash with a base form Plutonian, Superman wins that fight. It's when we get to his full ability to actually affect the whims of the universe, essentially, bend the universe to his will. That's where things get really interesting, because as it stands, the abilities that I just have listed here are intangibility, which Superman can do too, but would become a nuisance in a fight. Inertia negation is a big one, because Superman can literally come in and just try to swing, and then he can literally just tap the Flash, and Flash just poof, like what? And just stops, and then boom. Like, if you get rid of the Flash's ability, inertia, the Flash is effed. Like, the Flash is effed. Explosion manipulation literally can just create atomic bombs by snapping his fingers. Now, Superman can survive atomic weaponry. That's not a huge issue, but it's not like it tickles. Superman can feel that. That's not pleasant. If he just spams bombs on him one after another, even for Superman, that would start to, it might be slow to stack, but it starts to stack after a little bit. The mental manipulation, I don't, unless he's pulling iron out of, or like whatever metals are in Superman's body, out of Superman's body, that one I don't see being a big issue. Memory manipulation too, Superman's got psychic shields in his mind. That one would not be a problem. No, the issue would come down to, can he create other powers? My guess is he could. Could he create a power that would be suitable for Superman? For example, figuring out his weakness to kryptonite and essentially just forming kryptonite. Hell, freaking turning the minerals in his body into kryptonite and essentially just killing him outright through his own body. There'd be no getting away from that. So, in theory, that is possible. Yes, he could do it. Now, Superman is immune to things like reality erasure due to being like a linchpin of the universe or something like some bullshit like that. Once it's like, oh, you can't be erased from reality. Why? Because you're too important. Guys, stop wanking off Superman. Come on. Like, I get it. He is the granddaddy. He's supposed to he's one of the granddaddies of superheroes. I get it. He's supposed to be like the ideal man and all that. I get it. He's supposed to be someone we look up to. But can we really stop the Superman wank fest? It's like the people who complain about people wanking Batman. Like, Superman gets it far worse because they've actually had to scale up his feats and make him ridiculous. Superman is legitimately ridiculous. That's why when we get to characters like him, it's kind of stupid. That's why when I hear lines in animated movies or movies involving Superman, like we did with I was recently just watching Crisis. I rewatched Crisis on Infinite Earths. The anime was like, I face the guys tougher than me every day. No, you fucking don't. You're Superman, and if you think you do, it's because you're an idiot who's holding back too much. I'm not saying kill him outright, but I'm saying don't freaking patronize me. You're Superman. I can count maybe on, if off the top of my head, I can count many individuals in the DC universe that do supersede Superman. Darkseid has superseded Superman, but Superman does the same thing to Darkseid. Lucifer Morningstar is part of the DC universe. Dark Horse Society is part of it. So he supersedes Superman. Absolutely he does. Same with Michael. Technically speaking, the Endless do supersede Superman as well. So yeah, technically the whole Dr. Manhattan thing was weird, honestly. Darkseid, Doomsday does technically supersede Superman. There are individuals who surpass him in strength, but you have to get into such cosmic levels of power to do that it becomes so obnoxious to use him in fights. Again, I need to reiterate. So for him to say, I face guys stuff for me every day, bite me, you red and blue Boy Scout. I went off on a tangent. My point is, Superman is still insanely powerful, even if he's not maxing himself out. That's the thing. If he's maxing himself out, I don't care how powerful even the Plutonian is. That ain't happening. But unless you're doing a death battle where you have to max the characters out, it's very rare in these like verses that you would actually see these characters maxed out their potential. But we do have to bring in all hypotheticals. So yeah, Superman would smack him down even if he's maxed out his potential. But to max out his potential, he literally has to star jump from like one star to God knows how many in a universe. But the question still comes down to base Superman, who still would smack the Plutonian ultimately around. Again, Plutonian would give him a good fight, but still, Superman in base alone just beats him. Versus a Plutonian who now fully realizes his abilities and could theoretically create abilities to mess with him. So I will summarize it like this. Could a full-out, fully realized Plutonian beat Superman? Yes. Assuming Superman is not maxing himself out, he could beat Superman. Because if he's bending reality to his will, that first off, he's not erasing him from existence, which is something Superman's immune to. Superman is not immune to reality warping either. Granted, he can be highly resistant to it, but he's not immune to it. Which means, and anyone who can manipulate matter, that's a problem for Superman too. So if he can just figure out that Superman is weak to kryptonite, that's all he'd really have to figure out. And he can just create kryptonite. Hell, he could add kryptonite into those atomic bomb explosions and pretty much waste Superman at that point. Even normal nuclear bombs would still hurt Superman on some level. You add kryptonite in that? Oh, Superman's effed. Just boom, 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 boom. I can keep doing this all day long, Superman. And then, hell, he in theory could just do that when inside Superman's body. That's how up when you think about like explosion manipulation and reality control is. If you're really like focusing, it's like, oh, that hollow space within your stomach. You were able to survive all these blasts. What happens if I add a little kryptonite inside that? Let's find out, Superman. That's effed up. So there's certainly avenues that the Plutonian could win. But if we're being honest, Superman would still usually power through a lot of this stuff. And if he doesn't, because Superman's not going to tell him he's weak to kryptonite, and even though he can manipulate memories, pull from memories, Superman's got psychic blocks in his brain to prevent most people from delving in there. So I don't see him being able to pull that weakness out from Superman either. Is there scenarios where he can find out? I have no doubt about it. No doubt. But are those the majority? Probably not. So it'll be an interesting fight having the Plutonian completely unchained, just going feral on Superman. I do see Superman still as the winner in the long run. But whenever we get these Superman versus Superman copy fights, these are interesting questions we should bring up. Anyway, though, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.